Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Behind the Small Business Podcast. My name is Kevin Dandino, and I'm glad to be with you here once again on this podcast. We got a fantastic guest with you here today, but first, remember, everyone, that this is brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency. So if you're looking for any kind of personal or commercial quote for insurance, please reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to get you set up and see what we can do for you. Today, we have Charis Cook, from the owner of Lux Strength Gym out here in Denver. Charis, how are you doing today?
I'm awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, it's going to be interesting to hear your story. You kind of preluded a little bit when I was like, okay, well, let's just start talking about your story here at the beginning. You're like, oh, hold on. There's going to be a little bit of a ride here for us all. So I'm excited to hear about it.
Well, I didn't want to oversell, but
oh, okay. Yeah.
Just go into how
this will be fun. Yeah, let's go for it.
Started.
How'd you get to where you are? Yeah.
Well, I was born and grew up abroad. I moved to South Korea when I was 7 years old, and I stayed there, and I graduated high school there from an international school. So my experience in the United States was very limited, and I was just kind of plunked down into University of Georgia, and 38,000 people at the time, feeling like a Korean girl on the outside, but looking like your typical Georgian girl. So I never really adjusted well anywhere I lived in the States. So I moved back to Korea to teach English for several years. But teach English is really what we're doing when we're teaching English over there. Not everyone, but it was just an easy way to basically just, I call it like Vegas, like no one really knows who you are or where you're from, and we're all this like melting pot from all these different countries. So it's a great time, but reality was I was hiding there because I didn't have a driver's license, I didn't pay taxes, which legally,
Right, exactly.
I didn't have a bank account or anything, and I was just really scared to face life. And then my oldest brother passed away suddenly, and he left each of us as siblings a little bit of money. And at first I didn't want to do anything with it, and then I decided I wanted to do something in his honor, or something that would make him proud. And it, I just started looking on Google, like where are some cool places in the States to live. Or I asked Facebook. I mean, I like to go back in my memories and see how I landed on Colorado, because it really was that random. I don't like rain very much. I do now, but and I just thought, whatever, okay, let's do Denver. And I'd always loved fitness, always been a bit of a meathead. And I thought, this is my chance to really like start my life and do what I really want to do. So arrived in Denver and, didn't have anything. So it was difficult to get started, but I had such a strong vision of what I wanted. And what I kept telling myself is, if you don't like it, if it's bad, you can always go back and teach English. And that never crossed my mind, no matter how bad things got. And they definitely got bad. But I was in Fort Collins and slowly built my education, which I think is undervalued even in my industry. But, I wanted to work with the best of the best and learn how to do things, because I've always had a really clear vision of how I want to do things. And then moved to Denver, start from scratch again. So I've worked at all these different studios. I lived out by the airport, and I was going to sometimes 5 different studios in Cherry Creek and then South Broadway. It was madness. But, it gave me a lot of the skills that I have to open my own business, which was ultimately my dream. I was kind of forced into it with COVID. My industry was heavily affected by COVID. And as a result, gyms and gym owners, it was just a very stressful time for all of us there. So I kind of abruptly left the gym I was at for 5 years and tried to find another gym that would work for me. Nothing worked. And I said, all right, let's try to find a space. And I stumbled upon it. And, it's very much like a pinch me kind of thing. So,
Right.
you know, when I signed the lease and I had a picture of my brother with me, just like, wow, like,
Hmm.
you know, it's, how did I do this? I mean, really against
Right.
all odds.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you have a fascinating story. I mean, how many people in general here in the US have grown up, in South Korea, much less any other country, and then
Yeah.
be able to come back here and, uh, go through that experience of trying to fit in a land that you weren't raised in. You have no
Yeah.
real experience in how to interact and all the culture and customs, all
Yeah.
the things we do here. And
So you just
so
come off
that
as
had
kind
to
of
have been,
weird.
yeah,
What's that?
exactly. And growing up as a nerd, yeah, I get
Yeah. Yeah,
it.
exactly. I was born in
I've been
Germany.
there.
Oh yeah. Before I moved to Korea, I was in Germany. I went to German schools. I lived in the
Wow.
countryside, and you know, when I went to Korea and I attended an international school, I had to do ESL. So it was a bunch of Korean
Oh.
kids, and then like bowl cut German girl with like the granny glasses and Hasselhoff loving.
Sure.
So it took a while to fit in. I learned how to adapt very well, very early on.
Yeah. Well, a lot of self-confidence lessons. I mean, maybe not, it didn't feel that at the time, but looking back at that, you can kind of really look at,
Definitely. Yeah.
how it's molded you into the type of person you are and how
I,
it's led
yeah.
to you running the business the way you do and how you chose the profession you do.
It's, you know, people just don't know what they're capable of until they're forced into situations. You know,
Yeah.
I like language is a great example. You will adapt, you will learn that language and you can do it. You know, the things that we're
Hmm.
afraid of are so often, um, when you, even if you were to like play it out in your head, like, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? It's really not that bad. Even traveling
Hmm.
internationally, you know, I did myself the first time when I was like 12, I want to say.
Right.
And so I, you know, learned very early on how to adapt to difficult situations, and also that things are going to work out
Yeah.
one way or
And
another.
so exactly. And can you say, looking back at your experiences and having to go through those tough times, did it impact your ability to kind of take that leap of faith? Where you're saying like, hey, I can teach English back here in South Korea. Like I can do, I know I can do that, but here's what I really want to do. And to take that leap of faith, do you think that had a impact from your past to kind of push you over the edge? You know what I mean?
Definitely. Definitely the fact that I had done something like that really many times. You know, after college, I did move to Hawaii briefly for a boy. But it was the same thing. I like moved there without, I mean, I still didn't have a driver's license then. And,
Hmm.
you know, he was on a military base and I just kind of had to make it up as I go. Uh,
Right.
and yeah, it's just, I think the most important thing people can remember is that like you can always go back to what you were doing before, 9 times out of 10, right?
Hmm.
And
Yep.
but once you take the leap, you really won't want to.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if you
Well
do,
put.
that's okay. I think that people look at failure. People stay in bad situations because they don't want to look like a failure. I can
Mm.
definitely understand that, but it takes a lot of courage to know when something's not working and you want to cut your losses and move on. And I think I just want to say that because it actually, it takes a lot of courage to quit because of the
Yeah.
conversation around quitting always seems so negative. Um,
Yep.
but you know, sometimes it happens. And
Sure.
often when people do that, when people make those tough decisions, it turns out very well for them. Like
Yeah.
it's the right way to go.
Well, and you kind of mentioned earlier when you're talking about how you got to where you are, even when things weren't good there in the gym, you said you've had no thought about going back, So I guess I kind of want to know what about owning a gym and what about you doing your job and how you do it? Like what drives you? Where's the passion come from? And what do you do there that just makes it like, this is the thing that I want to do no matter what?
Well, in the beginning, it was I just liked working out. In fact, I was teaching a class to, I think, like fifth graders, and they were writing an essay. I did too, like what they wanted to be when they grow up. And one kid in particular was struggling with it. And I asked him, okay, just anything, just pick anything that you like to do, video games, whatever. And I bet you we can find some kind of profession in that. And I turned and asked myself the same question. So I really don't believe most people get into this industry for noble reasons. It's just like, yeah, I kind of like working out and whatever.
Right.
And it definitely evolves, because if you're not into people, this is not the job for you. And it's interesting how I always tell people the thing that got me working out was Britney Spears' I'm a Slave for You. It's not like an inspiring story. It's like, I want to look like her. But I also, as a result too, I've learned all the things to not do, because I've hurt my body a lot to try to attain beauty standards that are just not realistic and that are frankly stupid to go after unless you are Britney Spears or something. And so, I mean, that's the story for a lot of women, and that's how they get really frustrated with working out. And so really, I want to my whole thing is just like cutting the BS, because there is so much BS in this industry in particular, just all smoke and mirrors, that, there isn't some fancy exercise or some fancy device. It's really just learning, showing up, doing the stuff that kind of sucks over and over again. I mean, that's how you get good at anything. Diet's the same way. But what happens is you realize how incredible your body is, and the human body is. And I've worked in clinical settings with people with, disabilities and stuff. And same goes for them. Our bodies are incredible. And really, it's not until you're like deadlifting twice your body weight or something, and you're just like, a stay-at-home mom or something. I don't mean just, but, someone like you would never think, right? And you can just see that something has changed them forever. They're not going to look at of course, they're still going to be critical of like, oh, looking like this or whatever. But when you start to see your body for what it can do, and that's when you start eating better so that you can perform better and, show up at the gym feeling good. And it just becomes a completely different beast. And that's really, I always say I'm trying to take it back from diet culture.
Okay. I like that. Well, there's a lot of instances there where you get to see those light bulb moments, if you will. And I liken it back to, when I was an instructor in the Air Force, and you're trying to explain something 2-3 different ways, and you can see they're trying it, probably like you in the gym, you can see they're struggling, they're working towards their goals. And then all of a sudden you say something and they go, oh, or they hit that goal. You're like, there it is. They're like, oh, I can do it. You're like, yeah, you got it. There it is. Right. I mean, those things are so powerful. And mean a lot.
I'm glad you said that word, because that's actually why Lux, meaning light, is the name that it is, because it's this kind of. I was
going to ask you. Yeah.
This, so this, there's a lot of different things behind it, but ultimately, like see the light. And because there is nothing like being able to see your body as home and to trust it, and to really learn how to be your own advocate for your health, because, we're all decomposing. So things are going to happen. And it's always, I mean, I just went through some health stuff myself, because I'm still a human being. But when you have a relationship with your body where you're not like, oh, what is wrong with my stupid hip or something like that, when you're like, okay, what am I doing that my hip doesn't like, it having like a more empowered approach to it changes everything. But you also don't feel so confused and lost when you are in a doctor's office, and it, gives you, questions to ask. It's all, I'm like, knowledge is power. It's, and, you have to learn. It's, I'm not just here. People don't come in and I just like take them through some, sweat near death experience, because I'm like, I don't know you. I have no idea what exercises you need. I don't know you. Like, this is going to take like 4 sessions or something for me to start to get an idea of what exactly you need. And most people aren't used to that. And they think like, can we get on with it?
Let me just fill out a survey, like 10 question survey. Don't you, is that like everything you need? Yeah.
Yeah. And I tell them like, my life would be so much easier if I didn't care. If I just like took you through a workout you could get online. Trust me, it's like trying to like force feed you. You will learn this is, you know,
yeah, right.
It makes it a lot harder for me, but at the end of the day, that's why I'm in the industry. It's not to just like count reps or something. I've just experienced how the awesome power of being able to do really badass stuff. Sorry if I'm not supposed to say that, but
no, that's fine.
Because it really is.
Yeah.
It's such an honor to be a part of, honestly. And, you know, I probably cut some years off my life by being in that role, but it's worth it to me.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I really like what you're saying. You know, when you hear about a business owner that, you know, is talking about openly, you know, I care, you know, this isn't like, yeah, I use this to make my livelihood, to make money. But again, you know, I want to do something more. I want to care about what I'm doing. And that involves you, the person. So I kind of want to ask for, you know, anybody out there that's maybe looking for a gym or just whatever, like, it for somebody new who just walks through your front door, like how, what's your approach? You know, what can they expect, and how do you handle somebody walking off the street? Obviously, everyone's going to be unique and different, but you know, what is your approach there?
Well, I always start with a free consultation for this very reason, because I am so. I mean, we don't even really listen to loud music in here because it is more about the workout and like focusing and being really mindful. But you have to learn to see that fun, not just like distract yourself through a workout. And it's, I know, bummer, but it's just the way that it's got to be with strength training. You know, people are concerned about hurting themselves because they're not paying attention and they're trying to like swing around weights like a cardio, you know, exercise. But we do true strength training here, meaning that you have to learn the proper technique, and it's going to make your life, if nothing else, you will get off the toilet by yourself longer if you strength train properly. And is that that should be everybody's like number one priority, like alone in the bathroom, got it. But it's that stuff that is also the stuff that makes your butt look good and that makes you feel good. And the way the fitness industry has it is it's like you have to do these different things to get like different results. Oh, there's a different workout for getting lean or something like that. And it's ridiculous. So I just make sure that people don't have the expectation that I'm just going to take them through a random workout, that they're going to be in a rush, I guess, to start moving. And I don't want to put it like, sometimes we do start moving right away. Sometimes people have experience and, you know, we are already on the same page, and that's awesome. Cause then we can start, you know, working right away. People start lifting right away. But if someone has a lot of injuries or has never really touched a weight, it's insane for me to put a barbell on your back, in my opinion, you know, and it's like,
you're on 200 pounds while you're at it. It'd be fine. It'd be fine.
Just whatever, max rep here. And, you know, you can't do a reverse lunge, but with that barbell on your back, you're walking backwards. And it's just, it just really depends on where people are with their own fitness experience. Most of my clients have just been disillusioned by gyms and gym culture, which is undeniably douchey and really prohibitive to people like going in, and makes people feel small and kind of like unwelcome. That's just a lot of gym culture. So when they come to me and they find me, they're like, I just want to get strong. I just want to feel good, and I want to get strong, and I want to learn how to do it. Because along with that education, I make sure they learn how to do it. I'm not afraid of losing them as a client. I'm like, go, be happy. Come back if you need help, or, you know, I do workshops for that reason too, where it's, you know, come get your form checked out. And it's so helpful if you're having an issue with your squat to come in for a squat workshop and have a bunch of eyes. It is the most helpful thing, because it's not about I'm not afraid of losing clients to that. And I'm also not afraid to tell someone in a consultation, like, I don't think we're a good fit. And that's okay. You don't have to see it my way. I have many friends who own different gyms or like different styles that I would be happy to refer you to. Yeah. And I'm just, I don't understand how business owners don't see that as only a positive reflection on you. Like that you're honest and you mean what you say. But at the end of the day, if someone is clearly not jiving with the way I think, it's going to be miserable for both of us. Like, let me just set you up with someone that, you know, that's going to work better for you. And, you know, if you know someone that needs strength training or you want to go that direction, I'll be here. And so I really try to lower the barrier of entry and the intimidation factor that comes with the gym, because that's the other thing. You know, it's like, at least as far as I've seen, a lot of trainers or gym owners rely on that intimidation factor, make it difficult to cancel memberships. You know, it's like very shameful. You know, like, well, don't you want to, you know, look like this? And it happens to men too, which is why, I mean, I love training men. And because men experience the exact same thing. And it sucks because exercise is so critical for your life, for your mental health. It really is. And it doesn't mean that you need to be, you know, like living in a gym like me or something, but the most valuable thing you can do is learn to find something that you like, that you can do, that you'll age so much better. You'll be so much happier. You really will. It's just hard to see it that way because gyms are so douchey.
Right. And a couple of things here. One, I think I need a siren or a horn or a buzzer for this show. For every time a business owner talks about the benefits of knowing other business owners within their within that same industry, and how helpful that can be in so many ways, because that is a constant theme episode to episode. Whether I bring it up or like you did, you were just like, oh, this is like naturally part of what I do. It's so important. It's so common. And it's very clearly a sign of success. Because I haven't met a successful business owner that has said anything different yet.
I just listened to an episode actually of yours.
Perfect. See, so you can attest.
Yeah.
But the other thing that you're saying that I really like is the situational awareness you have. You know of what that barrier is for a lot of people to walk in that gym, that culture, that mentality of, you know, and it's pressure tactics. Like, sit down. We'll have our consultation will be more about, here are the memberships you should be signing up for. And here's all these things that you should be buying, you know, and now you're going to be stuck here. And now there's be loud noises and there's, you know, like, how many other dozens of clients does this guy have? You know, is there any real time spent on caring about me? Or am I just another line on your spreadsheet showing how much money you made off of me this month? So to hear of a gym owner like you saying, I recognize those are the problems and we're not, you know, we're doing the opposite because we want it to be more available for everybody and more accessible. That's a huge driving factor for a lot of people. So it's amazing to hear it.
Yeah, no, I thank you for saying so. The other thing is that this is like a private training studio. Obviously it's quite small, but really most of my clients, they are so grateful because people feel very self-conscious in gyms. You know, I'm not just trying to badmouth trainers. I think anyone who's been in a gym and seen trainers can attest to some bad eggs or whatever.
There's always,
looking at their phone and just like being completely uninterested. You know, I've seen them have their clients do downright dangerous things to make themselves look impressive. And it puts the person in a position of feeling like really embarrassed or something. And I don't know, I was not a jock or whatever growing up. I had weight issues, and then Britney Spears got me. Started running and watching what I eat, So I get it so much, and it really makes me angry. Like my clients obviously have to go like work out at other gyms. And they have a lot of those challenges. So I try to also find gym owners that I have a good relationship with that I can refer them to. And the biggest reason they don't go is because they're self-conscious. So I've had clients who came in and we literally would go over like how to set up the squat rack, like how to set up the safeties and everything. And then she could just go and play it out there at the gym. But people really underestimate how scary. I mean, I'm a meathead and I go into a new gym. I'm like, how do you work this thing?
Right. And that's a big thing for so many people. You see all this equipment. You're like, where do I begin? You walk up.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy standing there going, well,
yeah.
Huh? Because then you're like, well, now if I get it set up correctly, I'm gonna look like a doofus trying to use it. You know, like I'm just gonna walk away, go to the treadmill. Yeah. And then it's like, well, I'm not coming back.
Exactly. And it's, you definitely get in this profession, you get a thick skin for doing embarrassing things because it happens to everyone. And that's really what I also tried. That's how I try to make people feel less self-conscious. I went to a gym that it's like my mecca in Portland, Oregon. And on Friday night, I went for a certification, but on Friday nights they do whiskey and deadlifts. And so I was deadlifting, super excited. They have, watching your form is very important, especially in powerlifting. So they have tripods there so that you can record your form. So I caught on video that I misloaded the bar. One side was way heavier than the other. So I'm going for it. And one side came up really quick and it was like, cool, surrounded by some of my heroes. And it was like, the guy next to me was like, that one side came up really fast though. So, but I posted that video to my Instagram because I'm like, listen, it's going to happen. And no one cares.
Wow.
Like people are still, you're going to do dumb stuff and clumsy stuff and that it's okay. Like it's okay. Anyone who's paying attention to what you're doing is a loser who needs to get a life.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
But it's that like, just the humanness that I'm trying to show. I think in a very authentic way, which is, I'd say so. You can do badass stuff, but I'm still a total klutz.
Right. And exactly. I mean, that's the amazing thing to me. Like out of all the workout videos I ever see posted by people, I can't remember the last time I've ever seen somebody post a video of themselves doing something. It's always like a friend or, you know, but
totally.
Like, and to say like, look, this happens to all of us. Like you shouldn't have to, don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel self-conscious. Like this happens. We're all human. And that says a lot about not just, like the type of gym you're running, but the type of owner and person you are. And that to me, like that's the type of person I would want to come to for any kind of coaching, any type of assistance, is somebody that is like recognizing they're human. I'm human. We're on the same page. Okay. Now I don't feel as embarrassed.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying so, because that's exactly what I'm going for. You actually reminded me too. I posted a reel just today of me tripping over something. So because I've had 6
I do that every day.
Yes. 6 concussions and never played a contact sport. So, but again, it's just, you're a human being, like
exactly.
Especially with social media, everybody tries to always look perfect, be perfect. And I get that. It's marketing up to a certain extent, but again, it just makes fitness into like a beauty contest, because most representing fitness are not healthy at the slightest. I'm 41 years old and I tell my clients, like, if I have ab definition, it's because I'm restricting or using banned substances, which is also very common. But I'm very open about that because I'm like, it's dumb. Like if you're an accountant and you're in a shirt all day, why do you care even, like it's my job to, market my business. Unfortunately, this is what gets views and stuff. But also it's my job to work out. So my opportunity to work out and, access to supplements and stuff is way greater than someone who's just, got an office job. But when they see behind the curtain, I think it makes it much easier for them to not glorify, like 6-pack abs and all that stuff, because there's really no glory in it. They're just hungry, and they're probably really unpleasant to be around.
Yeah. Just super hangry, like hangry to the
Yeah.
max. Yeah. Not somebody you want to be around.
Watch out. Like, it's been time.
Well, I do want to leave you some time here at the end. Kind of last question is kind of walk us through, we talked about, what somebody can expect when they first walk in, and kind of your approach there. And we were talking before the show too, some of the things you're doing there, some of the, you're doing expansion and have some plans coming up for, some other things you want to do as well. So go and let us know all about kind of what the future you have over there.
Well, yes. 2 weeks ago, I took down a wall in the middle of this tiny little space because I want to offer more group, I don't want to say classes, but group workouts.
Okay. Yeah.
Pre-COVID, I started a women's lifting group that was capped at 4. And I required 3 private sessions before joining. And by the time COVID came around, it was my most popular and by far my most successful because, those 3 private sessions in the beginning prepared them to, integrate with the group, not slow us down. And it was also keep them safe, but they got so strong, like incredibly strong. And the group was so tight knit, like a family. Honestly, like any events that we would have, we would all show up, and it was the most positive experience. Space has been limited here, so that's been probably the biggest hurdle, but I'm very excited to bring back those small group training because it is very rewarding, and I love it.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, to me, being a people person as well, and to find a group that I know I can go work out with, that's going to encourage me, that's not going to judge me, that, I can also cheer on as well and help them achieve what they want to do. Like, that's very, very different than just, let me go to the gym and work out with this personal trainer. I think his name is Steve. I don't know. I barely talked to the guy, like those are 2 very different situations to be in. And one probably leads to you just going, I'm not going to go tonight.
No, it's so easy to just not care, and also desirable to not show up. It's when people really, the first time you squat well, people with like knee issues have never been able to squat to depth, or bench 100 pounds is like a really big deal for many women. It truly is life-changing. And with the group, it is more motivating. And they also become less self-conscious because we learn from each other. Because I'll point out, you see what she's doing with her hip there? That's what you're doing. And it makes it so much easier to see in motion how to fix it. And I really love that. I love it when it clicks, and making people enjoy this is so important to me.
Agreed. Well, seriously, thank you for spending the time talking to me about everything, your experiences. I mean, it sounds like a really solid business, a really solid gym with a great culture. And I love it. So let everybody know out there, like, how can they find you? How can they contact you? Any other events or anything else you want them to know about you? Floor is yours.
Thank you. And thank you for the nice words. I love the education piece, like I said. So I'm trying to bring more workshops and certifications. I'm hoping to do an HKC, which is a hardstyle kettlebell challenge certification here in July. And I like to do monthly workshops where we review squats, deadlifts, all sorts of things. So be on the lookout for those. We are right on Federal, 3932 Federal, which is kind of awesome. There's a big parking lot in the back. And I'm on Instagram at coach.charis. If you want to see any of my bloopers.
There you go.
And whether it's feasible for someone to come here or not, I just hope you are really strong and you belong in that gym, and you need to take up space.
Well said. Well, seriously, thanks again. Great time talking to you. And maybe as some of these things become available and you get some experience, more people in there, and construction is all done, everything, come back on and see how that's all unfolding, and hear about the new, the open space and any other additional programs you're doing and stuff. That'd be awesome.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
For sure. Well, seriously, everybody, thank you for tuning in. It's been great having you. Hopefully you're learning some great things, hearing some great stories. Of course, this is an open invitation to all business owners out there. If you are a small business owner, or if you know of one that would love to be featured on one of these podcasts, please reach out to us on our Facebook page or YouTube or anything like that. Let us know how to contact you, and we'll be in touch and get you set up. So again, this is brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency. Of course, reach out to us if you have any insurance needs. You're looking for a quote, commercial or personal. Be more than happy to set you up. But with that being said, thank you again for tuning in, everyone, and we will see you next time on another episode of Behind the Small Business. Take care.